hopefully I'll be able to keep this in frame. I usually hold the camera and I know I shake it too much, so we're trying to do that. Okay, the hub, remember I think the last video I showed it on the press. Well, it's just too hard to film that kind of work when I'm doing it. So I hope you can see that bushing in there. The bushing's been pressed in on both sides. Hope that's coming out. It's recessed a little bit this side. Presumably that's to make room for this O-ring that fits in there. The O-ring fits on top of the kingpin in this groove. You slip it over here, and that seals up this, and it kind of keeps the grease from pushing out. To get that in there, I just used this driving tool right here. All messed up like that. Oh, anyway, this driving tool, which the way I did it was I put it on the press. I squared this up on the press. I heated up this this housing I just used a heat gun, got it good and hot. I tried cooling off you don't really need to cool it. I tried freezing it. It's so little mass that it warmed up instantaneously, so that didn't really do any good. But anyway, I put the bushing in a freezer, and then I got it started by just lightly putting it in there, give it a few taps with a plastic hammer just to kind of get it centered up. It's got a little taper here, where this O-ring kind of rests in, like that. Anyway, I got it started square, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. Then I put it in the press, and I used this driver flat here and pressed it all the way in. Then once I got it flush with the top of this, I flipped this over, and this fits inside that recess. And I finished pressing it in slowly, just enough to get it to be flush with the bottom of this carved out area where the O-ring sits, right in there. And it's also flush on the bottom here, so it doesn't extend out into the where the axle is going to be. This side here is the same thing. This is flush where the bearing sits. This is where the thrust bearing sits. That's this thing right here. Okay, the thrust bearing will go. I finally figured out this side down. The thrust bearing will go right here. The kingpin, the axle will fit right in this area here, and then the kingpin goes in, and there's a slot in the kingpin right here that's retained in the axle by this little draw pin. I'm not sure what this is technically called, but basically it goes in through a hole in the axle, and this wedges right into here and locks that kingpin into place. So it draws tight. So, and here's the other O-ring. Here's the part I'm using. That's a DEP in Delta Echo Papa November 3115A Alpha Kingpin set, a C&H original part. I don't know if you can still get these or not. Like I said, I got lucky. I got this off of eBay. So, and I confirmed the fitment of this pin to the old pin, so I know it should all work out right. This this Zerk fitting was busted out of the original, so I was able to get a new one in there. I was able to drill out the threads without drill out the old Zerk fitting without destroying the threads, so I got that to go back in nicely. I was careful when I was inserting the bushes that they have a little hole. I don't know if it's visible here or not, but let's see if you can see on the camera. Well, right inside there's a triangular shaped hole cut in the bushing that lines up perfectly with the Zerk fitting. So when you pump grease into here, there's a bunch of carve outs inside the bushing that will, take the grease and roll it around the pin and get it where it needs to be. And the same on the bottom one. It has the same kind of thing. Got to make sure that that hole in that bushing lines up with the where the Zerk fitting comes out. So that's that. The only thing I have left to do is there's no way that this pin will fit into those bushes. It's not going to happen. They're they're undersized. So the next step of the process will be this tool here, which unfortunately this is the tool I need. It has a pilot that goes in, and then you go, the other way, and you can, and basically the pilot keeps you aligned this bushing while you're reaming this, and then you put the pilot on this bushing side while you're reaming that. And being straight, it'll make sure that you get a nice straight ream relative to each bushing. The whole idea here is like a line bore. I don't have a line boring tool, but I have this long handled reamer with the pilot. It's a piloted reamer. This does not go. This is not big enough. I need to get a bigger one. This only goes up to 1/16, I think, and that's just a little bit too small. It won't, even with it maxed out to the largest setting, it won't even start. It won't even contact the outside of that bush. So, unfortunately, this tool won't help me. I got it thinking it might be the right size. I got a real good deal on it. It's a local guy, no problem. So, I was willing to take a chance on it. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but hey, tools are always good to have. So we have a good tool. I've got the correct tool coming. It should be here, hopefully in a few days. And when I do that, what I'm going to do is there's these 3 holes here that has a big mount that this is used to mount on the tractor, and I'm going to put that in a clamp. I'm going to remount that, use that as a handle, and I'll probably end up orienting it something like this while it's in a vise, so I can work on it when it's steady, on a steady vise. And I'll end up reaming it, sideways, and I'll use the pilot on this side to align it. And then once I ream this to fit this kingpin, I'll take that same reamer and I'll come over on this side and go the same direction. Probably do a little bit at a time on both sides. The idea being I don't want to have to cut too much with the reamer on one pass. So I'll do a little bit, flip it back and forth, keep going back and forth. And ideally, what I'd really like to do is use the final setting. These reamers I'm getting are adjustable. So I use the final setting on this, will be the same final setting. In other words, I don't want to do this one all by itself and then switch over here and do this one. I'd rather do them simultaneously, going back and forth using the reaming tool, and just keep adjusting a little bit wider ream, until the kingpin fits squarely through. But anyway, that's where we are. And to further illustrate the original problem, this thrust bearing, which is the flat side here. Is this the flat side? Yeah. This thrust bearing, which was sitting here, this thing was gone. I mean, it was pretty much crushed. It was definitely smushed, and it looked like some of the bearings had been blown out. It's got a roller bearing. It's got cylindrical shaped rollers that go around the periphery of this thing. So I'll pack this with some grease, but some of those seemed like they were missing or gone. I don't know what happened, but whatever happened, it was obviously not working right. And these bushings were literally smushed out, which I thought was kind of weird, because I don't know how they got proud of this area to get smushed out, but they were. It's as if they weren't pressed in all the way or something. I don't really understand what happened there, but they were all smushed out and they were egged out, so nothing. Had a lot of slop in this direction. When I mentioned when I said the 12/6 wheel alignment, what I first did, my very first process on this, when I was checking the front end out, is I had lifted the tractor up off its way off the wheels, and I grabbed the wheels. When I said 12/6, I meant 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I rocked the tires like that. And sure enough, it wobbled. I thought, oh well, maybe the cone-shaped bearings in here just need to be tightened. That little nut in there tighten up. But when I looked more closely, that's when I noticed it wasn't the plate going this way in this bearing inside this hub, but rather the kingpin going back and forth inside the egged out bushing. So that was the genesis of all this. Did it need to be done? Well, I was particularly concerned about this bearing being squashed and messed up. I mean, that loader front end can carry a lot of weight. I don't think it's a good idea to be operating tractor where this bearing is smashed. I don't know if that would have eventually damaged this part or the axle or what have you. I mean, obviously, I didn't need it for like steering. The tractor's top end is about 15 miles an hour, so the fact that the tire wasn't, super rock solid, big deal. But the smashed bushing, the smashed thrust washer, that gave me some real concerns. I didn't want to damage any other parts of the tractor, and plus it should be right. So anyway, we'll see how this one goes. If I can get this all back together and I get some of my confidence up that it's going to work and everything's back together and I have the right tools for doing the reaming, I'll end up getting another one of these and probably do the other side. It's not as bad. When I looked at it, the thrust bearing on the other side was in pretty good shape. It didn't seem to have any damage. I think the Zerk fittings were still screwed up, so I don't think the grease was getting in there right, and it did have some egged out play here, which is why I would probably go ahead and just redo the whole thing. But I really need to do, this one, in my opinion, had to be done. The other one is I'll do it when I feel like it, when I get around to it. It's not nearly as critical. But yeah, we'll see when we get there. But I just want to get this thing done, get the tractor back working. I hate it when the tractor's down. The tool is taking way too long to get. I ordered it, I don't know, a week ago, maybe longer, a week and a half, 10 days ago. And in this day and age, I guess I've gotten spoiled to expect things to come here really quick. And, but it's coming from New Delhi, so I guess it takes time. It should be on the way. It's in the States now, so hopefully that adjustable reamer will be here soon, and I can finish this up and get the tractor back up and running. I'd like to be able to do some more work. Got a lot of work still to do at the farm, more road work, some cleanup work and whatnot, and some more areas of bush hog. So hopefully we'll get the tractor back online. But I just want to give you an update on where we are here. The next update I'll probably have it, I'll show the reamed out fitment of the Kingpin, with the reamer. And if that all works well, the last video will be having it all reinstalled back on the tractor. I just can't do the videos where you're actually doing the work. That's just, to me, it just impedes the process too much. So I hope it's satisfactory. Like I said, I'm just trying to spread some information out there. And I'm sure a million people have done this already. I'm not the first guy to do a Kingpin, but there's a few people I know who are interested in what I do, so I'm just really doing it so they can see what's happening. Thanks for watching. Bye.